Hi, Tyler Thurman here with Tyler Thurman Coaching. Some of you know me as Coach Ty from my online persona. And before we get started with this transformative coaching video, I'm just going to point you in the direction of my website and blog, like I always do, at www.coachtylerthurman.blogspot.com. And it's my online playground. You'll find tons of free videos like this one, free articles, and other links to transformative resources. So have fun playing there. And if you're interested in consultation about some one-on-one coaching with me, give my office a call, 503-389-3778. And we hope to hear from you. So let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to speak with you today about this metaphor that's been popping into my head to do with emotional storm chasing, is what I call it. And one of the interesting things that I've noticed that we as human beings do, it's nobody's fault, it's innocent, but one of the things that we do to get us really caught up and kind of stuck in unpleasant feeling states. So sadness, fear, anger, depression, anxiety, you name it, the whole gamut of low moods. We get stuck because of a really innocent misunderstanding about how the mind works, in that when we get into a low mood, it feels very crummy, right? It feels low. It feels, for lack of a better term, bad, right? And we don't like it, and it's unpleasant. And so we try to get out of it. Just like we would try to, if we were in a situation we didn't like, we would try to leave. That makes sense there. But when it comes to the mind and our thinking and our feeling, it's that thought-feeling system that I talk about a lot. When it comes to what's going on behind the eyes, it just doesn't seem to work very well to try to intervene. And by intervene, I mean when we're in a low mood, when we feel like crud, we feel like the bottom of somebody's shoe, we try to go in and fix it or do something about it because we don't like it, so we want to be sort of proactive. That's what we're taught in our culture. Let's do something about it. Let's be active. Let's intervene. But it turns out that sort of goes against the natural flow of the system. I've talked about this plenty in my work, but what you resist persists. Where you place your attention, it tends to grow. It places an emphasis on it. And with our thinking and our mind, which has a natural flow to it, our thoughts flow in and flow out, and therefore our feelings flow in and flow out, and our experience of life flows just like that. When we have an experience that we don't like, and we try to do something about it, it's very much sort of holding it in place, and we're ruminating on it, we're focusing on it, we're pouring our attention, our energy into it, and then it gets us stuck. It's why, I talk oftentimes about depression, and how depression itself is basically a low mood. But culturally, we've been taught to fight depression. And it's the fight against, the pushing against, that oftentimes keeps us stuck there. We're so consumed by it, and we think it's so important that we have to do something about it to make ourselves feel better, that we don't allow the natural flow of our thoughts and our feelings to have their way. We can sort of mess with the system at our own peril. That's what I often tell people. Now back to the pushing. If you think about a wall and you push against a wall, physics will tell you there's a pushback. There's a natural pushback. Like the wall is actually creating a force against your push to counteract it. And if you stop pushing, then the wall stops pushing. I know it's kind of weird to think about, but from a physics standpoint, that's just true. There's no force being exerted back on you if you're not pushing on it. And it's very much like that with our minds. If we're not trying to exert our influence onto our thinking, it tends to not be a problem. It's like, oh gosh, I'm feeling my thinking again. And then, it'll flow out over time. Now, it brings me to the main analogy of this video, which is storm chasing. And I liken it to, well, we've got these thought storms that we have, which you could liken that to a low mood, right? And it's like a weather system. Now, the nature of weather is that it's always in flux, right? It's always flowing. And we know that about weather. So we don't really get wrapped up in it. It's like, oh God, it's just another storm coming here. I live here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we're in the midst of thunderstorm season. And it's just, one will roll in for about a half an hour, and then it rolls out. And it's just like, if I didn't know that was the nature of the weather, I might be really concerned, right? Like, gosh, this is a lot of rain and a lot of lightning. Like, how long is this going to last? And maybe I should do something about it. But because I know a weather system, the nature of it is it's in flux, it passes, and it always gives way to the natural clear sky that the weather system is taking place in, then I don't have to do anything to change it. As I often will tell clients, I say, well, if you're in the midst of a storm, pull up a chair, maybe grab a raincoat, an umbrella, and maybe enjoy the storm. Now, what we've been taught to do, because we don't do that, right? We don't just leave it alone. What we've been taught to do is we get this low mood, we get this thought storm that rolls in, and we think it's really important, like, oh gosh, there's all this lightning, and it's like, this is dangerous, or when it comes to our moods, this feels really unpleasant, and then we chase it, right? We chase the storm. The storm chasers that they have for the news channels that are try to get footage of the storms. We chase the storms because we're so preoccupied with them. It feels bad. It consumes us, and we don't know that it's just our thinking rolling through. And we get consumed by it. We think this is all there is, and the only way that I'm going to be able to do something about it is if I sort of place my attention on it. But that's like chasing the storm. So imagine you've got the sky, and you've got this little weather system in the middle, and you're right under the weather system. So it's raining on you. There's lightning. There's hail. It hurts a little bit. when it comes down, and you look up and you're like, oh God, and then you kind of start, as it starts to roll, you start to run with it, right? Because you're like, oh, I won't be able to do anything about it if it if it rolls away and I can't catch it. But we miss the fact that when it rolls out, when it flows out, then we're left with the blue sky and the sunshine that is what's natural, what's behind all weather systems, right? Blue sky is not really a weather system. It's what happens, what's there all the time, but we lose track of it because we get caught up in these specific storms. We get caught up in the storm of an argument with our partner. We get caught up in the storm of, my bank balance is too low. We get caught up in the storm of, the traffic is too slow. We get caught up in all these storms of circumstance. And it's actually a thought storm that we place on these circumstances. And so we either try to fix the circumstance, or when we notice it's thought, we try to fix the thought. But if you look just that little bit deeper, and the nature of thought is flux. A thought storm is a natural flux in mental energy. And that the nature of your mind is clear, like the sky is clear. Then you won't be compelled to chase your storms. And you're going to experience a lot less pain and suffering. And you're going to think the world is a much more wonderful place when you stop following these storms around and chasing them. And again, it's innocent. It's the most innocent thing in the world. Because until you see it's just thought, until you see the nature of mind is clarity and peace and well-being, you're going to keep chasing the storm. So the direction that I would point you in is don't pay such close attention to the storms, but look to the nature of weather. Look to the nature of thought. Look to the nature of mind and consciousness. Where is my experience coming from? It's coming from the inside out. And how does it work? Will it really pass if left alone? And is the true nature of who I am, is that really peace and well-being and clarity and wisdom? And what I can tell you is, if you look to that, look to the truth, look to the nature of how you work, again, the nature of weather. Don't get caught up in each individual passing storm, because it's not a reflection of the whole. If you keep looking to that, to the truth behind life, to the truth behind your experience, the source of your experience, I can promise you, you're gonna see something beautiful. And when you begin to see it more and more clearly, your life will transform for the better. You're not going to get caught up in chasing those storms. Everyone experiences storms from time to time, because that's how thought works. We feel our thinking. But it's not a big deal when you know the nature of storms and the nature of thought. So keep looking in that direction. Now, if you're interested in exploring this more deeply, this is the work I do with people. Transformative conversations. Again, check out my website, www.coachtylerthurman.com. www.blogspot.com. We can continue this conversation there with all of the resources there. Or if you want to go deeper individually with me, please reach out. Call me, email me, see what a one-on-one conversation would be like and what it could do for you and how it could transform your life. I can tell you, it's pretty wonderful. It's pretty wonderful. You can go to the testimonial section on my website and see what some other people have said about working with me. But you can call my office, 503-389-3778. And I look forward to continuing this conversation. And have a wonderful day.